evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing to the news on top stories. I am Oyi Okbala. Let's begin. This weekend, Ambazonians are gearing up for what many are calling one of the most pivotal moments in the ongoing struggle for self-determination. A weekend dedicated to putting their acts together with renewed focus and unity. At the heart of this mobilization is the Ambazonian Strategic Constituent Assembly, the ASCA, which has taken center stage as a vital forum for shaping the future of the movement. Far more than a ceremonial gathering, ASCA is emerging as a strategic engine room where key stakeholders from across the globe are convening to refine policy, bolster diplomatic outreach, and strengthen internal cohesion. The timing of ASCA could not be more critical as the Ambazonian leadership prepares to launch a nationwide lockdown in protest of what they describe as colonial elections organized by La République du Cameroun, the French Cameroun. The need for unified action and clear strategic direction is urgent. ASCA offers a platform to consolidate internal structures, align international advocacy efforts, and ensure that the liberation movement is not only reactive but also proactive in seizing political opportunities. Participants and observers alike recognize that this weekend could mark a turning point in how the movement organizes itself moving forward. For Ambazonians, Independence Day on October 1st is not just symbolic, it is a reaffirmation of their identity and existential reminder of their unfinished journey. It marks what they consider the rightful birth of their nation in 1961, prior to what they see as an illegitimate union to La République du Cameroun. This weekend's activities framed around ASCA and national reflections are being viewed as a powerful recommitment to the struggle. As Ambazonians prepare to celebrate and strategize, they do so with clarity of purpose to show the world that their resolve is stronger than ever and that their fight for sovereignty is far from over. Now, all of these will speak on tonight's Undaunted. But first, let's get the prime headlines. All right, tonight to start with Bamenda residents skeptical a week after the foundation stone for the 30-meter wide, 6.2-kilometer Bamenda urban crossing road project and how it was commissioned and led by French Cameroon's prime minister. Also tonight, an armed gang assassinated 3 young boys in Buea for riding a motorcycle yesterday, September 24th, 2025. Yesterday in Limbe, a young boy died after an attempt to escape punishment for harvesting mere coconuts. Also tonight, we'll take a look at French Cameroun Proxy, Paul Atanga blaming Ambazonians for a war of state inaction. In Africa, Ebola outbreak expands in DRC Kasai province with 11 new cases confirmed. Meanwhile, Trump shocks UN General Assembly with pro-Ukraine turn, calls Russia a paper tiger. Now let's get the news in full briefings. Bamenda residents remain skeptical about the 30-meter-wide, 6.2-kilometer Bamenda Urban Crossing Road project, despite French Cameroon's Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Ngute laying its foundation stone on September 18, 2025. The project's estimated cost is 26 billion francs CFA, aiming to improve the lives of Bamenda residents by reducing transportation costs, improving safety, and bolstering economic opportunities is still to start. Residents are hesitant to believe in the project's success due to past unfulfilled promises from colonial politicians, particularly during election times. French Cameroon has scheduled her presidential election for the 12th of October 2025, just a few weeks from now. Bamenda's roads have been in a deplorable state for almost 10 years, with potholes, mud, and dust affecting daily life. Residents want to see the actual progress on the roads before believing in their project success, given that they have faded off with fake promises from the colonial administrators. Many are asking why works are still to start on these roads, as the colonial prime minister assured that all is set for effective kick-off of the project realization. Insecurity should not be the reason for the works not commencing, because the laying of the foundation stone was done amidst lockdown under tight security, and the same security depositions can be put in place for works to commence, right? The city Bamenda, like any part of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, is experiencing a lockdown imposed by armed gangs. The lockdown, according to the injunctions, spans from the 2nd of September to October 14th, 2025. Now, everyone is anxious to see work begin on the Bamenda urban bypass. Now, the question is the launched road construction project just another electioneering propaganda? That is a question we are asking tonight. And how is that even possible when election is in 2 weeks in the French Cameroon? Barrister Mbeseha. The work on the Bamenda City Road is set to begin. How is that? Is that not election propaganda?
Of course, it is election propaganda. Just like telling people in Victoria that Sonora will soon be repaired. It's an election propaganda. Just like telling people in Limbe that they are looking for finances to dig their own roads. Or people in Kopoi Manongoba being informed that they will dig a road from Loom 4 or 5 kilometers to Tumba. That's pure political propaganda. These promises are fake. And you can even dot the I's and cut the T's, or you see them to be fake. When Mr. Dion Ngute was in Bamenda, where he announced this road, he was opening another road. That deteriorated over the last 10 years. They never did anything there until elections were coming. And then, of course, Dion Ngute, on that inaugural speech, said something. He said, this is my second time of coming here in the last 2 months. 2 months, Dion Ngute, the Prime Minister, has visited Bamenda twice. Since when did Bamenda become so important for the Prime Minister who lives in Yaoundé, who hardly visits any other region or any other city in the country, for him to visit it twice in 2 months? It's fake. This is very Dion Ngute, who came to Bamenda in the last 2 months and promised a gas plant. They laid a foundation. Where is the gas plant? Is it functional? Are they buying the gas cheaper as they had promised? Zero. Then of course he asked, what are they promising? A 6.5 kilometer road, that's a 4-mile road inside the city. Urban crossing, that's just inside the city. Where was the government in the last 30 years, in the last 40 years, when the town grew up to that level? And they did not realize that they needed an urban crossing. The government was there. There have been witnesses to it. Atanga has been coming to Bamenda once, twice a week, if not more. He has lived the hotness of the roads. And so that promise is fake. Which promise shall we take seriously? The promise of Mr. Dion Ngute, the Prime Minister, or the promises made by the French ambassador who owns Cameroun as a whole. Mr. Diongoute's promise is based on some loans they have taken, because they take loans for everything, including buying books for primary school children. That's what the Ministry of Education told us. So this one must be a loan. Well, the one that was promised by the French ambassador was a gift. It was supposed to be in that very Bamenda town. France owns the treasure of Cameroon. They promised this more than 6 months ago, more than a year ago. They have not dug even a single kilometer of the road. And above all, they promised even to pick the dirt, pick garbage from town. They have not picked the garbage. Then who will take Mr. Diongouté or any other person acting in his name at this time to believe that they will come to dig a 6.5 kilometer urban road? An urban road, 6.5 kilometers to be dug, perhaps with a loan from the World Bank. What was he doing in Bamenda? He was opening the Babaju Road. And of course, something in Kweno, somewhere in Bafut there, another road. Where he stood there and opened it officially as the Prime Minister, telling him the best he could find. He stood right there. He had barely left the place when the electrical poles fell down to the ground. Shameless to tell him that you're lying. Who else can believe in these people anymore? Unless something is wrong with you. If there's nothing wrong with you, there must be something wrong with them. And since nothing can be wrong with us collectively, there must be something wrong with them individually. And so believing these people in any form or shape is taking a risk of your own mental capacity. So they are lying, they are doing politics, they are trying to promise something they cannot deliver. But why in Bamenda are they making these false promises? Why in Buea? Why in Kumba? Why in Manfe? Why? Why, you must ask. Their goal is simply one. That come election day, they will say that Bamenda was part of the elections. They will say Ambazonian was part of the electorate. They voted for them, or they participated in the elections. Because we know, at this moment that we're talking, Ambazonian on the total lockdown. Not for anything's sake, but the first thing to stop the elections. We don't want to be part of it. Their promises notwithstanding. They are lying to us. They have lied to us before. They continue to lie. And the only way we can get out of it is to find our way out of it. And we would. And we are. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister. And still talking about elections, the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has dropped an information that all Ambazonians would need to adhere strictly to. So let's get that that instruction, and then we'll come back to Barrister Mbeseha about this weekend.
It's another year and another Independence Day for a people at war. Once again, the time has come for Ambazonians across the globe to unite and celebrate their independence on October 1st. A day of pride, hope, and renewed purpose is upon us.
As we mark this significant occasion with cultural representations, dances, military parades from the Ambazonian State Army, all eyes will turn to the leader of the revolution.
Fellow Ambazonians, patriotic diasporas, I salute all of you gathered around our flag on this national day, our Independence Day.
This genocidal war declared on us by the 90-year-old dictator Paul Biya on the 30th of November 2017 is raging.
President Samuel Ikome Sako on the eve of Independence Day. Join us on September 30th at 8 p.m. as President Samuel Ikome Sako addresses the nation.
Permit me to say Happy Independence Day to you all, Ambazonians. We all rose as one nation to assert the independence of our beloved country, Ambazonia.
In these trying times, amidst conflict with La République du Cameroun, President Sako's words are expected to spark hope and chart a new direction.
Set your face on the prize. Look onto Buea, the historic, beautiful capital of our great nation. Truth and justice shall prevail.
While the date for the war to end remains uncertain, brace yourselves for a roadmap towards a smarter prosecution of our liberation movement, a vision full of promise and determined leadership. Prepare to be inspired as we honor our journey and look forward to a brighter future.
To remind the world of our genocide and the injustice done to us as a nation by France and the complicit international community. Share our story with passion and courage, knowing that no one feels our pain more than we do, and no one knows our story more than those who have lived it, us. Let us fight as one man.
Tune in live across all multimedia platforms and catch this monumental speech only on your favorite TV channel. Don't miss this pivotal moment. Together, let's reignite the spirit of Ambazonia.
This Independence Day, immerse yourself in the words of our leader. Be part of history in the making.
All right, thank you so much. Barrister Mbeseha, heading into 1st of October is quite significant for Ambazonians. I mean, first of all, is the fact that the Independence Day celebration would be in high spirits for the 1st of October, while the speech by the president should be delivered, usually on the eve of the Independence Day. But aside the celebration of the 1st of October and the Independence Day together, from the 2nd, there would be a lockdown down to the 14th. And, it's highly important that people understand how critical and how sensitive this year's Independence Day is and why the lockdown should be adhered to. I would want you to join your own force and that of the president to let all Ambazonians understand why this is important.
On it. And say it's a day of celebration in Amazonia. It should be a day of celebration in Cameroun. It should be a day of celebration throughout Africa. Throughout any part of the world which was being decolonized. October 1st is the date Ambazonia was supposed to be free. It was not an imagination. And we challenged Yaoundé. We challenged Buea in person for these reasons. On October 1st, 1961, Ahijo in person, he didn't send somebody to represent him. He came there as a head of state to join in this celebration of October 1st, Independence Day for Southern Cameroon. If Mr. Buea cannot stand up, if he is bedridden as he used to be, we don't want even to see Undaunted there. Let him send the second in command. That is Mbeseha Jifenji and in no other to join us in this joyous celebration in Buea. And that would have ended the whole debate. But surprisingly, I'm okay to change. If somebody in Buea, in Kumba, in Bamenda, or anywhere goes out to celebrate that day, you are going to be visited by police. You'll be arrested and locked up. Since when, you must ask, did the day that Ahijo celebrated himself as the president of Cameroun become a criminal celebration? If they have criminalized all what Ahijo did, including the celebration of October 1st, I said again, he was physically in Buea. And so it is now a criminal thing to celebrate that day. Then we must be writing our history on the reverse page of the books. That said, 2nd October going forward is a lockdown day. October 1st has coincided with their plan to hold elections in Cameroon, presidential elections, which presidential elections Ambazonians have said were not taking part in them. It's a coincidence that it fell from that October month. Quite frankly, they will do the same thing. And so, is it lockdown important? absolutely important. Why? We have said it many times before here and in other forums that we all agree and accept that come October 12th in Cameroon, somebody will be sitting in it today as a president, either elected, appointed, or resurrected, but somebody will be sitting there. All those 12 candidates who are vying to become presidents in Cameroon in any form or shape, through any method, have spoken about Ambazonia. They have each individually taken their positions about what they think would happen to Ambazonia. So we are aware of their positions. And we have said, look, all your positions put together, we are not taking part in your elections. Go select your election, send the man who is selected, send the person who has won, or who was resurrected on the throne, to come and meet us. Discuss October 1st. Discuss independence. Because that's what October 1st stands for. It just stands for independence in short. So go sit down, 12 of you. We all understand, each of you, what you say about it. So it's no longer it's not something that we can hide. Deliberately. We know your stance. And you know our stance. All of you put together, you know what Ambazonians have said. We don't take part in your elections. We are not part of your country. That's the simple language. And so this lockdown, to tell the people, don't go participate for what you don't belong to, is a message that has been sent. And that has been told to them by even our people who died long ago. Some who died not too long ago, that can be remembered. All of us can remember Mr. Akere Ben Muna, just died 3 or 4 years ago. He was a lawyer. His father was the vice president of Cameroon. His father was the prime minister of southern Cameroon, West Cameroon. But before he died, Ben Muna told us something. Children, fight for your own right. Fight. Well, it is this history behind us. Fight. If it means losing 2 years, 3 years of education, fight it because your future is in your own hands. That's what all Ambazonians should think about it. Forget about losing classes for 1 month. For everything, every have, there's desire to make for it. And so that's important. We must do it, and we have to do it. That's important. They must understand it. They have to understand it. If they don't understand it, they should be forced to understand. I'm sure they are not so dull. I'm sure they are able to read and write, to see documents there that Ahidjo was in Buea on the 1st of October 1961. Can they answer this question? What was Ahidjo doing there? If Cameroon was one individual, why did the president have to go there on 1st of October? If Cameroon was one, why did Ahidjo need to go there talking French and looking for translators to talk to the British guys who were there? And so it is so simple, straightforward. Honesty is the first thing we require of human beings. Boldness is the thing we require of everybody in order to challenge lies. We have to stand up to lies. We have to stand up to fabrications and manipulations. And that's what they are trying to do. The history can be retold, but it cannot be cancelled. History remains a history. And so again, I've analyzed October 1st, why they should send somebody other than John Gute, who is the 5th in succession line. You send somebody who can speak in the place of Ahidjo years. Otherwise, they're wasting their time. And then, of course, I've analyzed going forward how that date coincides, this period coincides with the elections. Why we Ambazonians say no to the elections. And I said in the last segment, they are making all that thing to show that we are part of the electorate. Our vote do not count in their elections. They have never counted, and they will not count. If our vote counted, Nifrodi would have won the presidency, he would have become president in 1992. But it was not by error. We were designed because we were told popularly and in loud voice, an Anglophone shall never be in a Tudi. When did that change? Since when did that policy change, and where was it changed? Is the reason why we say no to the elections. They don't concern us. If we must do anything, we must do anything. We must do everything possible to stop it. If we cannot stop it, the world will see that we took the time, we made the effort to stop intruders, to stop invaders from imposing their will on us. Over to you.
Tomorrow, I'm sure that people are gearing up. What would you say to those who are putting their acts together to be in the ASCA tomorrow?
After tomorrow is absolutely important because, above all, in addition to all these analysis I've said before now, it is strategy. We know what they have all agreed in their own day to fight us, what their narrative is. It is left for us now to work out the strategy, to put the buttons where they need to be, to dot the T's and the I's for the resistance. And this requires teamwork. This requires collective reflection. That's why they call it the strategic conference. We'll look at everything on the table. We'll strategize how to confront them. And it seems that become routine that we meet once in every 2 years. Hopefully, after this strategy, by the next 2 years, we don't need it anymore. We shall be in Buea. But it is absolutely important for us to take part. We've said, maybe me as an individual and others, if you are not going to be there for whatever reason, and you have ideas, pass them through. Give them to me, and give them to you. Ideas have no color. Ideas don't have receipts to say, hey, draft or did not draft. Good ideas will be channeled to the place. Discussion should be open. We're open for debates. We're open for contributions in any form or shape. So be part of the team moving ahead. Even if you're not physically there, be part of the team moving ahead. Even if you're not there by Zoom or any other form. There are other avenues to contribute. Let your voice be heard. Be part of the team, physically, spiritually, and otherwise. Over to you.
Part of this assembly tomorrow. So, in a shocking and brutal incident, as we move on with the report, an armed gang assassinated 3 young boys in Buea for allegedly violating a week-long imposed lockdown in Ambazonia. The incident occurred yesterday, Wednesday, 24 September, when the victims were riding a motorcycle. According to eyewitnesses, the armed gang purportedly enforcing the lockdown opened fire on the boys without warning, killing them instantly. The incident has sent shockwaves throughout the community, with many condemning the brutal act. The lockdown imposed by unidentified armed groups has been in place for weeks now, it began from September 2nd, 2025, with residents facing harsh restrictions on movement and economic activities. While the rationale behind the lockdown is to further frustrate law republic activities in Ambazonia, such brutal enforcement methods have sparked widespread outrage. And this incident also highlights the growing concerns about the humanitarian situation in Ambazonia, where civilians are caught in the crossfire. The international community has expressed concern over the escalating violence and human rights abuses in Ambazonia. Residents of Buea are demanding justice for the victims and an end to the violence that has plagued their community. The incident has sparked widespread outrage, with many calling for an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the killings. Barrister Mbeseha, boys violated the lockdown that we have not been able to ascertain those who are controlling this particular lockdown that has been on since the 2nd of September. And from what we report we are getting from Buea, they were assassinated and, they lost their lives on the course of that incident. We know that the ASA are very trained, and when they enforce lockdown procedures, the ones that are being authorized by the President Sako, we see how they handle such activities, knowing that the ASA would not kill their own. So it is quite unfortunate that others who think that they are there to protect the people, are the ones who are killing the people. If people violate a lockdown, your people, for example, just like this or armed gunmen who are carrying out, whatever it is they are carrying out for the lockdown that has been imposed. Do you think that that should be a penalty for violation of lockdown? Because this is totally not right.
This is the point. Should there be a penalty for lockdown? That's what you're asking. But we've said this many times before. Right now, what is going on now is a lockdown. That lockdown was not done by the government. The government has not forgotten. They've not lost sight that there are many other actors in the field, everybody doing what he or she wants to do. When you ask whether there should be a penalty, we've said a million times over, lockdowns are civil disobedience. The policy of this government has never been, never and shall never ever be, that people should be shot and killed for disobeying lockdowns. Illegally imposed or legally imposed. The sanction is not to kill the violators. But the central issue is this. What does it profit you for you to put your life at stake? Just trying to show the violence of a lockdown. Why again there is not crossfire? You put yourself at risk. They are forgotten, people should not forget that during the struggle like this, there are many people who profit from it. That's why the unknown armed men. They have not said Ambazonians killed the guy. They have not said the ASAs killed the guy. No. The story is unknown armed men. Who are these unknown armed men? I'm very sure they are not Ambazonian army. I'm possibly sure 80%. The good name are sponsored by the government. The Atanga boys seeking to instill fear in the population, seeking to make benefit out of it. Why? Just the lockdowns as a good thing. Again, one back Mona said, Ben Mona fight this thing fast for you to fight. If it means losing 2 or 3 of your education, so be it. To the best of my knowledge, the schools in Buea, we're talking about Buea, 80% of the people in school in Buea are not going to school. They have parents who live in Buea. They realize that it's worth the price staying at home for these 2 weeks, rather than taking their children to go there and being shot by unnamed armed men, whose investigations will never be found. No investigator has ever found an unnamed armed man who has killed somebody in Buea or in Bamanda or somewhere in Ambazonia. And many thousands have died in that form. Who is supposed to investigate? We have said 10 times over, the government. Is the government doing it? The government will never do it. Because if the government of Cameroon could not investigate the killing in daylight of the Bishop of Afia, with the promise, the whole Catholic Church, investigations are ongoing till today, 4 or 5 years, nothing has happened. If the government of Yaoundé has never investigated the people who killed the Bishop of Garawa, retired Bishop Plume, the investigations are still ongoing more than 7 years after. If the government in Mr. Buea has never investigated the people who killed the Reverend Sisters who were close to Jean Arin Buea, why do you think they will investigate the deaths of 2, 3 people in Buea when they themselves are accomplices to the death? If the government of Yaoundé, as far as Buea is concerned, has not explained what happened to Wazizi when they took him away officially and declared him dead but never get back his dead body, what do you expect of these people? They are actors in private, pretenders in public. Again, those people seeking to defy these ghost towns, legally declared or not, you are taking yourself, you are putting a lot of risk to yourselves. And again, let me emphasize, lockdowns officially announced or not officially announced. The government that we talked for has never had the policy of shooting violators to death. We don't kill them, we violate them. The outline is there. Will get you, sanction you, will caution you. We don't kill. So no killing should ever be attributed to genuine forces of Ambazonia. And nobody has done that. They say unknown. It's not by mistake. Even the criminal government of Yaoundé has not pointed a finger to Ambazonian fighters for being responsible. Now, they say unknown armed men. To generalize it in the general confusion that is available, in the general disorder that they have sown on the land. Disorder or no disorder, they are responsible. It is the responsibility of government to investigate, to maintain law and order, to bring criminals to book, to sanction them, to punish them, to send them to jail. They have the jails, they have the police, they have the courts. It is their responsibility, not the responsibility of Ambazonia. But knowing that these are all absent because there's no government there, you, the individual, it is your responsibility to save your own life. What do you gain just going out for 2 hours on a motorbike? What do you gain just going to drink beer in an off-license or in a beer spot rather than stay home? The risk is high. The chances that you might be hurt are high. So better stay home. But nobody should attribute these acts to the government of Amazonia, to any genuine fighters for the independence of Amazonia. Because by their official statement, unknown armed men. Unnamed armed men, 99% are sponsored by the government. To implant fear and try to discredit the struggle. That is what it is all about. Over to you.
And it's hard to do this disclaimer because there are so many factions, just like you've mentioned, and people can mistaken all of this. But one thing is to be taken clear here: the ASA are all trained and they have no right, or they are not in the mindset of taking the lives of people that they are willing to protect. So this is not from the ASA. All right, moving on for another sad report. A young man identified as Gabriel from Batoke, Victoria fondly called Limbe, died after a fall from a cliff. The incident occurred early last morning along the rocky shoreline where he and other children had gone to harvest coconuts. Well, according to residents familiar with the situation, the children were confronted by an elderly man who was reportedly frustrated by repeated coconut theft. He ordered them to kneel, a form of summary punishment, before leaving to fetch a cutlass, where he was allegedly going to use to cut a cane to flog the kids. As the man departed, two of the children fled inland. Gabriel, in an attempt to escape, ran towards the beach. Unfortunately, he slipped near the shoreline and fell down the cliff, sustaining fatal injuries. The death has been ruled as an accident, but local sentiment points to a more complex tragedy fueled by a climate of social neglect. Many are blaming the French Cameroun's government, pointing to this incident as one of the consequences of the over 8-year-long war it declared against Ambazonia. To them, Gabriel's life would have been spared had he been in school like several other children were in neighboring French Cameroun, instead of roaming around due to a lockdown and due to a war. May he still rest in peace. Moving on, French Cameroun's Proxy Paul Atanga blames Ambazonians for a war of state inaction. The Colonial Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanga, used an official visit to Buea in the Atlantic Zone to publicly transfer culpability for the ongoing war in southern Cameroon, asserting the zone's population is responsible for its own marginalization. Meanwhile, many believe that this administration's edict of blame disregard the catastrophic security failure of the French Cameroon's government and the brutal reality of a conflict it escalated. The colonial minister's statement delivered from the heart of the war zone has been widely considered as a calculated political maneuver designed to attenuate the central regime from accountability. Acting as French Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanga is the key civilian authority responsible for maintaining law and order and civil protection across the country. Hence, his office should be the center of our stabilization efforts. Instead, it issues inflammatory rhetoric that further degrades public trust. Atanga ignores that the persistence of ghost towns and lockdown is not a choice, but a consequence of a gaping security vacuum. The colonial government has failed to protect civilians from the coercion of imposter and militias, and even its own military thugs who are constantly inflicting pain upon innocent civilians. While security forces operating under Atanga's administration's oversight have been reportedly documented as perpetrators of severe human rights abuses, including the killings of innocent civilians during counterinsurgency operations, yet he attempts to shift responsibility onto parents and communities, the very victims suffering the consequences of the war. Unfortunately, Atanga's continued focus on denial and suppression only confirms the regime's strategy to manage the war through force and political deflection, rather than address the fundamental grievances that have now claimed millions of civilians' lives and displaced more than millions of people. Barrister Mbeseha, Atanga is blaming Ambazonians for the war. How strange does it sound to you?
Atanga is blaming Ambazonians. Atanga is blaming me and you for the war. So be it. Before I get to his blaming us, let us go back a bit on the report you just gave. The little boy fell into the cliff after trying to harvest the coconut. What is at stake? Is it that the children harvesting coconut were doing something illegal? There's no what is at stake. Harvesting coconut is a game. Children play with those things. They jump over those trees. That's not what should be the big problem. The big problem that we can ask, we had asked earlier in that report, is it an issue of neglect? I think it is. That thing, that place there, is supposed to be found under the so-called Victoria Limbe Urban Council. That's the urban municipality of Limbe. Those cliffs are places where that should have been developed to become touristic attractions. What does it mean developing it? They would have built a fence there. They will put benches there for people to sit on. No child would jump into that thing and just fall there and die. But they have been ignored, totally neglected for over the years, and yet they call something Limbe Urban Council. What is their own urban plan? What are they developing there in that west coast there? In the other parts of the world, people fight to go to the coast. The coast is where money comes in. Just by sitting by the ocean side, just watching those places there would fetch a lot of money. But they have been totally abandoned. They carry the name Victoria Urban Council, an urban council that has no meaning in terms of urbanism. It has no. What is the difference between Victoria Urban Council and the Buea Urban Council? What is the difference between the ocean they have there and the mountains they have in Buea, or the way the Fulanis run with their cows? Absolutely nothing. There's total absence of planning, lack of sense of direction, and you find our children dying there. But those are things that should never have occurred. That was the reasons why we'll fight, and we'll fight for that to be attained. Then fast forward to Mr. Atangaji. Is there anybody in the world of Cameroon who believes in this man called Atangaji in any form or shape? Whether it is in the north, in the east, in the center, south, does somebody believe in the man called Atangaji? A prisoner working this. It's not me saying it. They pulled Atangaji from the jails. They have not finished serving his term. He's still a convicted criminal. He's not yet pardoned. They pulled him, take him to a comfortable office, the court of territorial administration. Does Atangaji have any sense in his head? Atangaji is supposed to have left generals in the cities, call mayors, call prefects, call chef d'etat, Does Atanga listen to them? Atanga would listen to them. Could he say that the report from his so-called chef in Bamenda, chef in Victoria, is a senior divisional officer and dues? What do they tell him is going on? What did they tell him is the cause of the war? What did they tell him is the cause of the insecurity privately? They tell him the truth, I'm sure. But Atanga, being a hardened criminal for personal reasons, will never let it go. This is Atanga who will do anything to frustrate anything called free elections in any country in the world. This is a criminal walking down the streets. But the issue is, I'm very sure nothing good or bad will last forever. Atanga's names as an individual, your days are numbered. His days are numbered politically, your days are numbered as it's walking down the street. The end will come, and Atanga will be able to answer for his own deeds. And so, Atanga is just not just a proxy. I think sometimes he acts even more than what his guy who appointed him does. Most often, Mr. Buea says nothing, keeps quiet, even though Atanga enjoys his decree. But Atanga will come out to pour out what he says. Has Atanga forgotten that he is responsible, and he admitted doing it, for killing the children and their families in Garbo? He armed private people to go down and kill children, kill pregnant women. Atanga admitted it. Atanga admitted publicly for sending people to go and massacre hundreds of scores of children, if not dozens, in Pinyin. He did that in his capacity as minister, in his capacity of somebody in the Central Committee or the Security Defense section of the presidency. He does that. Is that what a normal man walking down the street should do? No. Those confessions are war crimes. Which war crimes are not only punishable in Cameroon, they are punishable, they are condemnable worldwide. So this is a criminal walking down the streets, being used for his own advantage. A criminal in what he does, a criminal in what he plans to do, a criminal in every form or shape that you can imagine. I doubt most of them in the government are criminals, but Atanga is beyond expectation. His own is not is an unrepentant criminal. If Atanga still blames Ambazonians for causing the war, they must be out of his senses. It is Atanga who said from the beginning there is no Anglophone problem. That's Atanga. But Atanga sat there when the government he serves agreed that there was an Anglophone problem and called the Grand National Dialogue, in which Grand National Dialogue he took part, despite denying that there's no Anglophone problem. If there's no Anglophone problem, Mr. Atanga, what did you go to do in the Grand National Dialogue? If there's no Anglophone problem, Mr. Atanga, that has caused this war, what are you doing in Bamenda, calling your dues and so on and so forth, begging them to bring peace? And so this is a liar in every form or shape. This is not a person who ever should be trusted. This is not a person who should be walking down the streets free. He's a criminal. He should find himself in jail. He should have remained in jail. For some mysterious reason, was pulled out of jail and baptized with the power to lie more, with the power to neutralize whoever did not obey their instructions. Is this what we want? Ambazonian wants independence, but they don't want independence where individuals will be used the way they have used this poor man Atanga. Sometimes I personally wonder if he's in normal senses. That's my personal view of him. He looks somebody who's popularly deranged. He looks somebody who needs to be in the hospital for psychiatric treatment. But there's somebody with all those qualities who finds himself somewhere in Yaoundé there, sitting in an Oval office, signing decrees, signing documents, signing papers for people to be arrested, banning political parties, banning free speech, banning anything that is acceptable in the modern world. So be it. That's Cameroon that he finds himself. That's the region from which we want to escape. Atanga is supposed to be an Ambazonian. But as an Ambazonian, bad is bad, no matter where you do it. He is doing the worst thing. He's not helping Buea. He's not helping any other human being in the world. If he saves Buea or any other human being, official in that capacity doing what he does. He's discrediting you as a government. He's discrediting you as an institution. He should have been out long ago. But the decision to send him away does not depend on Ambazonia. But the decision to defend ourselves depends upon us. Forget about what Atanga says. And as I said in the start, is there anybody in Ambazonia? Is there anybody in Cameroun who believes in anything coming out of the mouth of Atanga? The answer is no. No. He doesn't exist. He exists just to lie. And so we have to fight to get out of this type of government, out of this type of organization, where people recruit criminals to speak for them. When the criminals are unrepentant, only waiting to repent when they go to hell, that all of us will not be there to be witnesses. And so we have to fight, and we're fighting to get out of it. We would hopefully succeed. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Mbeseha. Definitely, Ambazonians will definitely succeed. And thank you so much. Hoping that we'll get to see more of you as Ambazonians prepare for the ASCA meeting tomorrow. But right after this very short break, we'll come back and head straight to the DRC. That's the Democratic Republic of Congo, where 11 have been confirmed as new cases of Ebola virus disease. While the UN General Assembly is going on, health officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo have confirmed 11 new cases of Ebola virus disease in the Bulape health zone of Kasai province, raising the total case count to 57. The outbreak, first detected in the region earlier this month, now includes 47 confirmed cases and 10 classified as probable. All right, we'll give you more of these in our subsequent bulletin tomorrow on the Flash News. And let's get into the foreign scene. Well, at this year's United Nations General Assembly, U.S. President Donald Trump delivered a speech that left many observers stunned, not just for its boldness, but for its unexpected shift in tone regarding the war in Ukraine. Following a high-profile, long bilateral meeting with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, Trump emerged before the assembled global press with a forceful declaration Ukraine can and will reclaim its lost land. Russia is a paper tiger. While the comments, brief but explosive, signaled a dramatic rhetorical pivot from Trump, who throughout much of the conflict had expressed skepticism towards continued U.S. support for Ukraine and had often framed the war as a European problem rather than an American one. All right, and this is all we can give you tonight on Undaunted. Thank you so much for being part of Undaunted, and remember to be part of the ASCA meeting coming up tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful night.